Something that you probably say a lot, and I know I have definitely said a lot, is God, I trust you, but inside we're still freaking out and we're still craving control. So in this video, we're going to talk about how we can realistically surrender to God and what that actually looks like in a practical way. And if you're new here, welcome in. My name is Christian. I make content about mental health, all from a biblical perspective, so that we can all heal, grow, and make an impact on the world as Christ intended. So starting off, I think it's really important that we recognize this and admit that we have a natural inhibition to trust God. We have a natural inhibition to surrender to God. And there's a few realistic reasons for this. Surrendering, we associate that word with giving up. We associate surrender with throwing in the towel, which is failing. And we desire control because we feel like if we hold on to control, then we can then ensure certain results that appeal to our will. But this isn't the way that we ought to think or live as believers. In Proverbs 3 verses 5-6, a very common verse, it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths." So it's important to understand that these verses aren't a suggestion. It's a command. This is something we need to do as believers. This is something we're called to do. And honestly, recently I felt like the Holy Spirit has been really tugging me to surrender more to him. And because I have, from business stuff to other life things, I feel like I've been trying to hold on to control and wondering why my anxiety has been spiking or things like that, and been more frustrated. God calls us to do this because it is not good for us to hold on to control like this. So what does biblical surrender actually look like? First, it's being honest, and being honest with who you are and who God is. God is perfect. He's righteous. He's faithful. He's trustworthy. In Deuteronomy 10:17, it says, "For the Lord your God is God of gods and Lord of lords, the great, the mighty, and the awesome God, who is not partial and takes no bribe." We have to understand how sovereign the Lord is. We have to understand how powerful the Lord is. And understanding who God is so incredibly important. Understanding the identity of God is important, because then you're more likely to surrender. You will be able to surrender once you truly understand the character of God, because you only surrender to something that you see as worthy of that surrender, that you see as capable of giving whatever that thing is over. In 2 Thessalonians 3:3, it says, "But the Lord is faithful. He will establish you and guard you against the evil one." Because God is worthy, because God is righteous, because God is God and he is Lord, he is trustworthy. He's worthy of our surrender. We can give him whatever the thing is that we're struggling with. We can give him the control. We can give him everything and know that it's in good hands. And this is the thing that really, for me, has been helping a lot with my own journey with surrendering to God, because I think I'm a type A kind of person where I prefer to have the control. I prefer to, have everything in order and plans and things like that. That's how I naturally am, right? And in situations where I really need to surrender it to God, where there's things like I don't know what to do and I have to surrender it to God, understanding and dwelling on the fact that God is trustworthy, that he's faithful, that he's God, that he's Lord of Lords, gives me so much peace, knowing that the best hands they could be in is in God's hands. And truly, this takes humility to do. We have to humble ourselves in order to hand something over to God, in order to surrender, because that's really what surrendering is, right? You making yourself less and acknowledging something else to be greater. And Job does a really good job of explaining this. And one of the reasons Job does a really good job of explaining this is because God himself really humbles Job with him really putting into perspective who Job is as a man and who he is, God being God. In Job 38:4, it says, "Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determines its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it?" Here, God is really humbling Job and asking him, if you know so much, if you understand so much, where were you when I did all of these different things? How much do you really know of what's going on? And we have to do the same exact thing, truly asking ourselves and being honest, realizing how God is so much more capable than we can possibly ever be. God is so much wiser than we can imagine to be. If God is that much more capable, if God is that much more wise, if God is that much more sovereign, that much better as a being. He's good, he's perfect, he's righteous, he's just. Why wouldn't we surrender to him? Why wouldn't we give him everything? Because then if we're not, we think that us being fallible humans are more capable than what God can do. And following that line of thought, is frankly just foolishness. Our heart posture should be the same as Jesus when he was on the earth. Not my will, but your will be done. We should be more willing to do that. We should be more willing to surrender our will to God's will. And I understand that it's scary and it goes against what we naturally want to do. But understanding who God is, understanding who we are, then we are more equipped to do it. We understand that it is the best thing to do, that we're able to have more peace when we do that. We're able to have more success when we do that. When we surrender to God, we're able to have more direction from God. I guess it says in Isaiah 58:11, and the Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your desire in scorched places and make your bones strong. And you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water whose waters do not fail. And when we surrender to God, though it may be uncomfortable and scary at first, there's so much more peace behind it, as seen in 1 Peter 5:6-7, that we need to humble ourselves first to God, right? We need to humble ourselves, and then at the proper time, he may exalt us, and casting all our anxieties onto him because he cares for us. God's call for us to surrender is also a call for us to embrace his love, to us to bask ourselves in his grace, in his peace, in his love, and his mercy. This is where we see true success and true growth, not with just things on this earth, but spiritual things, the eternal fruit. Surrendering to God is not giving up. It is not, because surrendering to God is active. And truly what surrendering to God is placing your trust in something different, in someone different, and that being the Lord himself. So it's less trust in you and more trust in God. And I really want to leave you off with some encouragement and understanding that surrendering to God is a process. It's a journey. It's something that I'm working on, myself, with, giving these things onto God and not being such a control freak. I don't want you to go into shame or guilt or worry or anything like that. This is a process. It is a journey. We're expected to surrender to God daily, as it says in Luke. And that's what we're going to read right now. In Luke 9:23-24, Jesus says, and he said to all, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. Did you hear that? Daily. For whoever would save his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. This journey that we're on is a daily thing. We're expected to pick up our cross daily. There are things this morning I had to surrender over to God because it was making me anxious, making me worried. And I'm like, you know what, Lord? Take it. I can't handle it. I don't want to handle it. This is your job. Something I often say to myself and really say to God is, you know what, Lord? This is above my pay grade. Here you go. I'm gonna do my best and leave you the rest. Because as humans, we try so hard to chase everything. We try so hard to strive for these things. But Psalm 3 says that God is our glory. We see all throughout the Bible that the successful men and women of God, their success came from the Lord himself. Their success came from surrendering to God. He cares for you. He loves you. You have to surrender everything to him, whether it be your mental health, your spiritual health, things with your family, things with your friends, your finances. Surrender it all to God and know that in his hands, all is well. Reflect on what God has done for you. Reflect on the things that God has done in your life, on the goodness of God. And remember that the Lord does not change. Let me know down below in the comments, what is one thing that you're going to surrender to God this week? I'll meet you down below with my pinned comment with my answer. And be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. And if you like this video, you're going to like the one that's on the screen right now. And remember, above all that, you got this because God's got you. Peace out.